Hello, it is your Astro Coach Sarah here for Wellness Astrology, this time for the new moon in Taurus. Hello. Moon is exalted in Taurus, so it's in a happy place. The Mars opposition, Pluto is breaking apart. It's going to take it a minute, but it'll come apart. This new moon is in a T square, a wide T square with that Mars Pluto opposition, and Uranus is T squaring, or I'm sorry, Uranus is not T squaring, trining the South Node, sextiling the North Node. So we got a lot going on. Everything's pretty much still the same. Mercury's in Aries, Neptune's in Aries, Venus is almost done in Pisces. Let's take a really quick peek at the chart so you guys can see what it looks like and go from there. Hang on one sec. All right, this new moon, oops. Okay. This new moon peaks at 7 degrees of Taurus. I don't have it exact. I have it within a few minutes. It's on Sunday, the 27th at 2:30 p.m. And so it's 7 degrees. It's gonna square Mars in Leo and square Pluto as it's coming in to a peak of a new moon. And so as that moon is dark at 3 degrees of Taurus, just hours before this new moon. So Sunday morning could feel really sluggish, could feel a little bit, it could be a quiet coffee type of morning. Um, quietly reading a book, drinking a cup of coffee or tea or whatever the hell you drink. I don't care. But then, as I pointed out, Uranus at 26 is trining the South Node. And so we're kind of in this space of like, with Uranus there, it's like shaking things up, getting rid of, stuff that you don't need. South Node Virgo is routines you don't need. It's, you know, again, I talked about how like many service providers are starting to shift how they do service. Um, really kind of trying to get in person with what they offer, just so that they can get people's energy gauged a little bit better. We've been in a virtual world for so long that it's actually really hard to gauge people's energy when you only see a snippet of a post or a video or whatever. You don't get a real idea of what their energy actually feels like. And so I feel like with Uranus and in Taurus, it's kind of really encouraging many people to get in person. I've also heard that with the more we get into artificial intelligence, the more people are going to want to interact more with each other, which is a good thing, I feel like. Um, but yeah, Venus is almost done in Pisces, and she'll swoop in and conjunct Neptune here in a few days. But Saturn's moving ahead of the North Node, so that's finally coming apart. Of course, Mars is going to keep moving forward. Mars is still not out of his retrograde shadow. We've got another, I think, week or so of Mars in his post-retrograde shadow. So if you're not feeling all of the amped up energy, don't worry. But it's also still frustrating because we want to get things moving and whatnot. But I would say for intentions, like set long-term intentions. This is going to be, you know, um, not like a quick execution type of energy. Just because there's so much changing so quickly that you really want to, set intentions that you have that are going to need you to change something about yourself or your circumstances or whatever. This is also Taurus, so you want to think about resources like food and clothes and shoes and money and finances and whatnot. Could there be something going on with banking and money during this new moon? Absolutely. 100%. Could be something going on with banking and money. I know we've had issues with the tariffs and things like that. So, I mean, that could come into play here with this new moon. But I mean, the governments are going to fight each other out, right? I think there's some valid points about, we've been in a tariff war for a long time. Trump just kind of got us involved, which is probably a good thing. Right now, there's going to have to be a lot of back and forth about it as things get ironed out. And that may be a long time from now. So you could sit there and, you know, be upset about things. Um, and sure, but that's also just encouraging all of us to get more involved with local government and things like that, and be a part of what's going on versus sitting back and being a keyboard warrior or a TikTok warrior and bitching and complaining about it. Because unless you're actually willing to help do something about it, like voice your opinion, and a lot of people voice their opinion without knowing all of the ins and outs. Um, but I think I've talked about before that like I go to local county board meetings so that I know what's going on in my county because it just helps me understand how my community works that much better. And that may be something that I continue in my next location. Um, but you kind of, in general, though, with Pluto and Aquarius, you really want to ensure that you're seeing all sides of an equation rather than, being so zoomed in on your own viewpoint that you can't see the forest for the trees. And so, yes, things could look frustrating from your perspective, but from another's perspective, this may be the relief or the ease that they have needed and have been waiting for, right? So it's you kind of want to see all angles and sides, and that's Pluto and Aquarius. Um, and so because I know there's been some states that have already banned um, EBT from getting certain foods, certain drinks. And I agree with that and I support that. Problem is that I also know that there's plenty of people who receive those types of benefits who don't know how to um, purchase fresh foods, fresh meats, fresh vegetables. They don't know how to purchase them. They do not know how to prep them. In some cases, they don't have the means to prep them. Like maybe they don't have an oven or they don't have a crock pot or, whatever it is that they need. Maybe they don't have a way to store it because they don't know about food storage containers and whatnot, or how to acquire them or whatever. I think it's shocking how many people just assume that everybody knows what Tupperware is or everybody knows what, how to cook this or cook that. And that's not always the case. I have been around many different levels of people in the years of my life and traveling and moving in different places. I've been around all kinds of different people, and some people make everything out of a can because they don't know how to do anything any other way. Some people only let's just say like boil hot dogs because they don't know how to grill them or bake them in the oven or something like that. Same could hold true for like bratwurst or something like that, and so sure there's air fryers, sure there's Instapots, but just because that seems to be an easy accessible um appliance doesn't mean that everyone has one or has the means to invest in one or something like that. So I say that to say, like, I agree that EBT, they should not be able to buy certain types of food or drink. However, it should also be required that they take a food prep nutrition type of class in order to receive those benefits. So RFK Jr., if you happen to be listening to my astrology forecast, there's my 2 cents. But I mean, that's something that I could take to my congressman and say, I understand that this is how it's, I mean, I live in Illinois, so it's not like, I mean, my governor is fighting against everything. So, but, but that's something that, if you have a thought or an opinion, about something like that or something that the government is doing, you need to go to your congressman or your people and start making noise, right? Think about like the Harper Valley PTA. Go listen to that song. It's actually really funny. But anyway, so as this new moon happens, think about what you're doing to be resourceful, not only for yourself, but your people around you, right? And think about your you know, the intentions that you need to set to have the resources or support that you need in order to execute whatever's been coming up for you since, the beginning of this year or late last year or whatever. Like, what do you actually need to do? What resources do you actually need to support your long-term health, to support your project execution or completion, etc., right? So that's kind of what I would say think about. I would also go check out my sun and rising signs videos and or book a reading with me so that you can get a clear image of where some of this energy is showing up in your own individual natal chart. So let's see what's up with the tarot for this new moon in Taurus. All in all, I like this new moon because a lot of the tense transits, frustrating transits are finally kind of breaking apart. But I don't think we have like quote relief only because everything's still in fire. And Venus is about to join the fire party. So definitely still watch your nutrition. Don't overindulge in things that would cause inflammation or things that might dehydrate you or things like that. You want to still be attentive to inflammation, hydration, um, root chakra, those sorts of things. So, all righty. Let's see what we got going on. Um, oh wow. Did I draw it in reverse? I did. That's interesting. Page of Batless in reverse. Hmm. Is this like a reality check? Like you're not curious anymore because you got a reality check. That could be what that's about. I don't really know. Let's see if I can get a clarifier on that one. And we got the Emperor upright. Dang, we ain't had Commander Raker in a hot minute. That's a damn shame. The Emperor upright. Once again, you've got to take a stand. You are strong. You can take a stand for yourself, for the people you need to take a stand for. Um, I think that, if anything, Mars being back in Leo, um, is definitely gonna have that individual strength. But like, think about this too. Like, if you are individually strong, capable, all of the things, who can you be helping? Who can you be of service to? Because the emperor is of service. He's leadership. And I feel like there's a lot of people that just, oh, I'm not a leader. I'm not a leader. Yeah, you are. All right, let's do one more just because I don't know. I still don't really know what to think about that page of batlets in reverse thing. Um, we get the Queen of Latinum in reverse. Yeah, be aware of like find like material possession, manipulation, in other words, being manipulated by material possession. Like, do you really need to buy extra clothes, extra shoes, extra makeup, extra hair care shit that's just you just got it because it's on sale or whatever. Like this could be like being manipulated by material stuff. Do you have an excess amount of shit that you don't use? Kind of thing. I kind of like that, but I'm still confused by this page of batlets in reverse. With the Emperor and the Queen of Latinum. Mm, well, the only thing I can feel in this is like the uncertainty of things that you haven't yet explored and like perhaps some fear or just unknown, um, that kind of thing. I think that when we downsize physical material possessions, there's a sense of vulnerability to that because when you declutter your physical space, you declutter your mind, you declutter your energy, and that gets really vulnerable for people. Like it's almost like the stuff gives them this extra like layer of security. And so there definitely could be some sense of insecurity going on. All right, we got the skunk and magnolia, protection. Yeah. Yeah, I feel like this is about security. Okay, now it's all coming together. So skunks have their funk odor about them when they feel unsafe, and that's their layer of protection. And so then we have um this where the page of batless where we are setting boundaries, and then the emperor, having the strength to protect not only yourself but other people around you and having the resources to protect your own state of mind, your own energy, your own spiritual growth and development and projects and things like that. So okay, that kind of all makes sense. Does that make sense to y'all? All right. Anyway, that's the new moon in Taurus. Don't forget to check out the sun and rising signs. I'll try and remember to link the video on this one, but also remember you can book with me and I can, let you know more precisely how this energy is hitting your own natal chart. So thanks so much for tuning in. I'll talk to you next time. Take care.